Hello everyone. On the previous class, we all saw about the poem The Listeners, and it was written by Walter de la Mare. And we saw about the meaning for the first 10 lines, and today we are going to see about the remaining 10 lines. Before going to see the lines, shall we read the poem once? Yeah. Is there anybody there? Said the traveller, knocking on the moonlit door, and his horse in the silence champed the grasses of the forest's ferny floor, and a bird flew up out of the turret above the traveller's head, and he smote upon the door again a second time. Is there anybody there? He said, but no one descended to the traveller. No head from the leaf-fringed sill leaned over and looked into his grey eyes, where he stood perplexed and still, but only a host of phantom listeners that dwelt in the lone house then stood listening in the quiet of the moonlight to that voice from the world of men, stood thronging the faint moonbeams on the dark stair that goes down to the empty hall, hearkening in an air stirred and shaken by the lonely traveller's call. Yeah. What happened on the first 10 lines? A traveler was traveling through the forest with his horse, and he saw a house and stand there, and he gone there to knock the door, but there was no response to him, and his horse was eating the grass silently near to him, and he again knocked the door, but no one responded to him. Even there was no one to look upon through that branch filled windows. So he was standing there with a confusion. Where he now shall we see the remaining line? Where he stood perplexed and still. Yeah, he know that he was saying that no, he was knocking the door, but there was no response, so he got confused. What is the meaning of the perplexed? It is confused. He was standing there confused, with a full of confusion, but only a host of phantom listeners that dwelt in the lone house then. What is the meaning for this line? But only a host of phantom listeners that dwelt in the lone house then. What is the meaning for the phantom listeners? It is nothing but a ghost. He was imagining, because if there are no one in that house means only the ghost were present there. Like that he was imagining, and he was thinking, if no one is there, surely there will be the ghost will be the only one to stay there, because it is a lone house in the forest, so there was no human activities inside. So he was feeling like that, stood listening in the quiet of the moonlight to that voice from the world of men. What is the meaning for these two lines? Yeah, he was feeling that the only ghost will be inside that home, so they only quietly listening to him. Okay, stood listening in the quiet of the moonlight. You already know he was standing there in the midnight time, so the moonlight was falling. So he was feeling that they are the only listeners who are listening him quietly without making any noise. Okay, to that voice from the world of men, he is the only human present there. So the ghost were standing there quietly and listening to his voice. Like that he is feeling, stood thronging that faint moonbeams on the dark stairs. What's the meaning of the thronging here? It is nothing but a crowd. There was a stair inside the house. What is the meaning for stair? It is nothing but a step. The moonbeams, the moonbeam means the moonlight was falling on the dark stair, on the dark step inside the house, and near to that step and down to that step, there was a he was feeling that there was a group of ghosts. The crowd of ghosts were standing near to that stair and listening to him quietly. Like that he's feeling, that goes to the empty hall where the stair is going. It is go and joining to the empty hall. One long hall is there, and it was connecting there, like hearkening in an air stirred and shaken by the lonely traveler's call. What is the meaning of hearkening here? Hearkening is nothing but listening carefully with full of attention. He is feeling with full of attention that ghost only listening his voice, because he is alone there. So he was feeling that The ghost were listening him carefully with full of attention, like that he is feeling. And this is the meaning of the poem. I hope you all understand. Again, I'm saying the full meaning of the poem. Okay. One traveler was traveling through the forest, and he stood in one place, and he found a house. He gone there and knocked the door by saying, is there anybody there? But no one was responding, and he came through the horse. That horse was standing near to him and eating the grasses, the flowerless grasses slowly without any making noise. While he standing near to the door, a bird was flying from that house through the small hole above his head. And he again knocking the door second time, is there anybody, by saying, is there anybody there? But no one responded to him again. Okay. Even no one looked through that window, bottom of that window. That window was get filled with the branch of leaf branches. But no one was there, and even no one looked to his eyes. Looked to him? What is the meaning of his gray eyes? No one was ready to look to him and hear his words, like that he's feeling. He was standing there with full of confusion, and he was feeling, in the type of lonely house only the ghost will be present, like that he is feeling. And they are the only listeners. He's here, the listeners of the ghost he is feeling. He's feeling that they are the only listeners on that moonlight time, to listen his voice, to listen that a human voice. And he's feeling that a crowd of ghosts was standing near to that step. That step was connecting to a hall, and the ghosts were standing there in a form of group and listening to him. And they are listening carefully, because he is only alone. He was the only person, a only human present there. There was no one to talk, no one to ask anything. So the ghosts were listening with full of attention to his voice. And this is the poem about. I hope you all understand. And thank you for your listening. Try to read this regularly, because this is the memory poem. Thank you, everyone.